Da 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 da! What's my good cheer? Welcome, everybody. If you've never popped into one of my lives before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside, and we're going to give YouTube a couple of minutes to get those notifications out. First off, we're just going to throw some gratefuls out there for that job that puts the roof over my head, that gives me an opportunity to ground in this world that I so much want to be part of the majority. Part of the majority, I do. I understand that some of these topics that we cover are doozies, are big ones, but they're important ones. And, trusting in that partnership that I have with my channel, with my brand, with YouTube, with Google, with those people that I take lessons from, those people that I rub physically with, right? Whether it's within my own family, whether it's or my customers when I am at work. That is all a part of that creation of Cindy. And, in the past few years, picking up the lessons along the way, I've applied a lot of them to my life. And sometimes, even though I don't recognize how they work, I recognize that they do work. And sometimes that's got to be enough. You know, I am again touching on subjects that are important, that deserve to be taken seriously, and I take them seriously, but I understand sometimes we don't want to take in those hard lessons, and sometimes it's in the way it's presented to us, and that's my optimistic idea. you know Even in my own life, I recognize that. Right. I get freaked out about the silliest things. You should see me when I have to go in for a job interview. And I've never failed in a job interview. And I would have to say, more often, way more often than not, I have secured the position that I've applied for. How? I don't know, because if you talked to me 5 minutes before I walked into that door for that interview, my entire system is dysregulated, right? And I'm down talking myself. I'm actually trying to talk myself out of going to get that job, right? Applying and putting my foot forward and showing all the best part of myself. All I can think about is I'm going to show this self. But this self is part of that mix up, in that little bit of panic, right? But it's also part of that believing in myself, right? Believing when I walk in that door, I could be as messed up 1 second beforehand, but when I walk in that door, I'm putting my very best foot forward in whatever I'm doing, right? Grateful for the job that puts the roof over my head, that it has allowed me to keep a pretty much undisturbed, probably not, right? But unmanageable, definitely not, right? I've been able to manage my life quite well, right? And my own life, and those things that distract me or get my system dysregulated, I have arranged my own environment not to serve that, not to accommodate that. It's, it's not there. Lots of times we choose something, but when we choose that something, it comes with all these attachments, whether you're marrying into a big family, when you've been a single child your entire life. You marry into a lot of, and it's not just marrying into, it's in how we pick our friends, in how we pick our jobs, how we choose to move forward with our education and what we choose to do with that education. This week we got this word perseverance, right? Perseverance. And sometimes we have no idea what we're struggling up against because a lot of that is in that stuff that we scoop up and mix up and right get it all mixed up in our systems, and it trips us up, right? So my whole point is to get rid of a lot of that stuff. And I understand a lot of that stuff is pretty embedded, but my life accommodates that I can pick up that little bit of extra gruffness, that little bit of like sandpaper that doesn't rub us well, because I'm not being distracted by other things. I'm not being distracted by, right, screaming kids, or at my age, screaming grandkids. But there's the benefits in that too, because I don't have a great recognition to my actual age, right? If I was hanging out with my friends whose children are already grown and I don't even have any children, and their children have got teenage children, that's something that's going to be mirroring back in your life every day. Grandma, those kids are screaming, Grandma. I don't have that. I still get auntie, and even my niece's children call me auntie, and it's kind of amazing that way, that sometimes just in the way our life presents itself, in our choices, in our human choices, in our good choices and in our bad choices, right? It enmeshes in what we truly want to be doing, what we truly desire, what we're truly reaching out for, and what we really think that we should be doing, right? Doesn't mean that we can't have those things because, right, this is Cindy's life just as much as it's part of those other lives. I believe they had their time in the sun, right? But in that experience of their time in the sun, experience, right? They picked up a lot of experience. And I don't necessarily know who's all back there, but I suspect from where I'm sitting now, right, that there must have been some magnificence there. Not that it truly rubbed off on me, but it did truly rub off on me because I recognize it, right? So it's my persistent in just moving forward with those goals, with those desires, with those lessons, and without the lessons that we fail in ourselves, we pick ourselves up and we learn a better way, or we learn not to do that again, right? Or, oh, that hurt, right? And we can learn to avoid certain patterns, certain things that do trip us up. And that is all part of untangling the wires too, because you're recognizing and you're remembering, right? Kind of sounds like evolution. It was kind of where I wanted to go yesterday, a little bit in that evolutionary idea that, we have no idea where this is all leading us. There is 151 ideas, and probably multiply that by 100, 1,000, a gazillion, right? Not everybody can be right. And who's to say that anybody has to be has to be right, right? in that creation of the best human being I possibly can. I am enjoying my life, contributing back to it because I recognize that in the evidence of those lessons and those experiences, those conversations and adventures that come into my life, that the lessons work, and the lessons do reveal the next lesson. So the only idea is just to, in that perseverance for that answer, to just keep going. And it doesn't mean that it's even going to happen in this lifetime, right? We pick up the lessons where we can. I tell ya, a lot of these lessons, yes, it's in the repetitiveness that they do sink in, but this is all new to me, right? I've resonated with all of this, I think, my entire life, right? But never saw it, the physicality part of it. I never experienced it. I never heard about it. Never had an inkling, never had a curiosity. And then just to wake up one morning, right? I'm going to bite on that because of the evidence that it makes the movement a little bit more comfortable. And I don't necessarily have to have all the answers. I just have to have, right, a point in the right direction, because some of those tools that I pick up along the way, and every time I have an experience, a conversation, a fail, right? Every time I have to pick myself up, brush my knees off, and try it again, I get a little bit better. I'm not going for the Olympics. I'm not going for the gold medal, right? That's a lot of pressure. My life does not accommodate that, right? My life accommodates something else. So I decided that would be a good direction to start moving in, not necessarily knowing, right, where it was going to lead me, but it looked like fun. It looked like something I'd be good at, and it looked like something that would do a lot of good. And in the few lessons I had gotten up to that point, that was enough, right? And in my perseverance, 10 years, you guys, my brand has been around for 10 years. Should have failed on me at least a dozen times. And here it is. And here I am, right? If nothing else, that evidence for myself, right? That little bit of movement that I made for myself was worth everything if there is nothing else, right? I'm good with that. I'm moving forward, right? I'm persevering. I have no idea where this is all going to lead me, but it's leading me. It's leading me for sure. And as long as it's accommodating in my life and that my life accommodates it, right? I'll show up fresh like a loaf of bread. Guys, that's my good cheer. And we'll see